All right, cyber traders, good morning and welcome on back here this Tuesday, June 29th, shortly after 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Welcome on back for our morning meeting. This is not Fausto for all of us on social media, Facebook Live and YouTube. My name is Josh Levitan, at least for those unfamiliar with the afternoon meeting. Great to see all of our students live inside the cyber group room, though. Ron, Lewis, Michael, Debbie, Kathy, Kathleen, I should say, and Ray. Great to see all of us. And of course, buongiorno, Andrea. So without further ado, let's hop right into the thick of things here. We have the XELA trade on the screen right now. I'd love to start off by going over this, but there's only one way I could start this meeting off here. I mean, really, if you were following us here from the from the afternoon yesterday, but really from the entire day, Fausto was talking about the MRIN trade, MRIN. It was more of a pre-market move at first, and then, well, and the chart speaks for itself here, right? So let's go over this trade very quickly with enough time. But, we'll talk more about this trade going into our Traders Talk workshop. So for all of us on social media, that's our weekly workshop that we host typically live inside our trading room. We're going to host that live inside our trading room today. If you're interested in joining us just for the analysis on the MRIN trade, just go right down to the link on the banner below just to get yourself started on a trial. But for all of us there, stay tuned. 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I'll jump on the mic back again, and we'll cover this trade from A to Z. But really, pre-market move and then into the open for a low float stock. You don't want to be caught on the wrong side of this trade. I mean, you could say that for any stock, mind you, but the lower the float, the riskier it is to hold on to a bag as it dumps off. It's harder to get out of. And then, if you bring emotion into the trade, if you're going to sit there and think, oh, it's going to move back up. Oh, I hope it can move back up. Please move back up. A lot of times those don't. So with this, you ended up seeing the slingshot right away. The volume died off. This died off. It pulled back down pretty quick. When this is at $5, you're not expecting this to make the ultimate, move that the move that it ultimately ended up making. But hey, it ended up providing us a great bounce opportunity from the 5 level, good for an easy 50 cents. And then if you held on long enough, or perhaps re-entered off the next break from the 550, you were able to catch the real pop here. I went over this trade during the afternoon meeting just yesterday at 2:30 Eastern. Hey, I was saying at this exact moment, I couldn't have been more wrong myself. I thought it was just going to begin to dump off. I thought this red bar here, if you could see it, is a bit of a false break. I thought it was going to completely die off. I couldn't have been more wrong just about 4 minutes later as it popped up, got halted on the way up, and ended up continuing. So, with that in mind, we ended up following this into the afternoon, into the market close. I put it back on our list. I said, you know what? I'm not a fan of the low float. It was trading like 250 million shares by the afternoon. So, for a stock, normally on a 10 million share float, that's quite a lot. So, between that and how little volume it's traded prior to even the last couple of days, when's it going to dump off, right? So I was reluctant on putting this on our afternoon watch list. I put it on our list, though, and with that, we ended up trading it. So we ended up catching this trade off the 650 level. I think I ended up jumping in right off 680, my exact price. If I'm not mistaken, I hope TradeStation's not going to be a pain in the butt, so I can show my trade. Ah, man, it's not going to show it here. I don't know why it's not here. I ended up jumping in. It was on 500 shares from 680. From there, ended up seeing the squeeze up and over 7 with just about like 2 minutes to go in the market day. And, from that point, with it near at the highs going into the close, there was a very good chance, a very high likelihood of this, that eventually popping higher. To what degree, you don't know. So I've had a full day from 7:30 in the morning Eastern up until 4 o'clock yesterday. I wasn't trying to hold on to this all throughout the after hours. I wasn't trying to sit here for another, 2 hours, 3 hours. If you were there sitting here for the next 2 to 3 hours on this trade, you were the real big winner. I ended up getting out of my trade at 750. I did pretty well. I ended up taking an 8-cent loss after, and then I tried to jump back in on the thing. I had one more chance. I tried to get filled right off of 750, and it missed me, or I think it even hit 750 and didn't take me, actually, which is even worse. But nonetheless, it ended up making the rally back up, broke out over 8 again, and ended up making this huge run into the after hours up towards, I think, even like over 1150, right? Now, for this morning, I mean, it's popping up right now as we speak, right after 9 a.m. here, little spike up off of 9, and it's up to 950 right now. So, hey, I'll put this on our watch list. It's hard for us not to, but again, if I was saying that yesterday, at what point is this thing going to begin to drop? I'm going to say that more even today. So again, the stock has a very low float. It wouldn't shock me if this company comes out with like direct offering or common stock offering news perhaps over the next few days. If not today, who knows? But we'll put this on our list. If it ends up dumping off right away, I'll tell you, I would move on pretty fast, move on to another stock. Like I'd said from the top, we had the XELA trade at least on the screen to begin, and plenty of others, from pre-market that looked pretty good. So I'm sure that we'll have a pretty big list here by the end of it all. All right. So the MRIN trade, we'll talk more about this stock in our Traders Talk workshop. Again, that's for later on this morning, 11:05 Eastern time. We start that live inside our trading room. I'll mention this right now really quick. And do a little typing here. For all of us live inside the trading room, if you have any questions that you would want to send over before we start that workshop, please send it right to my email address. And then for all of us on social media, if you're interested in joining us for our Traders Talk workshop, that's my personal email address right there, josh@ctutrading.com. And then I'll go right from the top just at 11 a.m. Eastern time for Traders Talk. All right. All right, so there's no better way, I guess, otherwise to just go through it from top to bottom, really, right? BSQR, top of the gainers list, up 74%. I didn't see the news on this stock. Benzinga was slacking on the news at least early in the morning for a few of these trades. So let me jump to that pretty quick. I'm pretty interested in at least seeing this. So the BSQR trades up 74%, pretty flat, relatively speaking, on the 5-minute chart, and ended up making more of a pump early in the morning, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, up towards like 6:20-ish. This is 6:45. Now the news on Benzinga Pro, unfortunately, they still don't have it. There's no headline. There's no attractive news story out there on this BSQR trade, at least one that I don't see. So if anyone could post it live inside the trading room, that would be great. If there isn't one, then that's not going to completely deter me from trading the stock. You would like to have some sort of catalyst out there. But either way, stock is trading 12 million shares today. It's a lot. Let's check the float. 12.5 million share float. So, it's pretty much right there right now. And typically this stock trades just about a few 100,000 shares, a little bit more on average a day. So I'd say it's already very heavily traded. Could this end up becoming much like an MRIN and just completely blowing the roof off the place and flying up? Yeah, of course, that's also possible. I'll put it on our list. If it ends up dumping off right away, or if we happen to see a lot of selling leading into the open, it looks like we had a lot here to begin. I would quickly move on if that's the case. That's all. All right, so a stock that's not low float, at least the CERE trade, or at least relatively speaking. But man, this stock ended up having a huge pop shortly after 8 a.m., didn't it? So I think the news on this, and I'm not going to go into the full story, but it's some drug news in relation to passing phase 1B news for a drug. I'm not even going to pronounce, some of the words here on that headline. Yeah, it's going to be tough for me to do. Nonetheless, antipsychotic activity. That's it. Nonetheless, that's the pop on the CERE trade, up 60+% still. I'd called out the potential support off of 18. It didn't really hit that price level going into the pre-market here off 8:30 Eastern time. So who knows? Is it going to do that after the open? I think there's a pretty good chance. It's a stock that we're not really too familiar with. And with that, the one thing that I am interested with this stock is that it's already breaking all-time highs. Relatively new IPO back from 2020. All-time high prior to today was 1884. So practically off this pop, it ended up breaking the all-time high, and with that, no historical ceiling or resistance to work off of. So we'll put this on our list. The hope is to see the spread and spread tighten up, the liquidity fill in more on the book. If that's the case, I'll definitely be more drawn to the stock. But either way, we'll put it on our list for the meantime. All right, so we keep it pushing. The XELA trade, we're going to add this to our list right away. We started off the meeting by showing this stock, right? So ended up popping right before 7:30 Eastern time from 190-ish, 185, if anything, up towards like 245 pre-market high. Had a really tough time breaking over the pre-market high after 8 o'clock. And then from there, a lot of these spikes, perhaps we'll talk about inside our Traders Talk workshop. It's largely dark pool driven. So with that, you might want to keep track on some of the highs or lows, or more so in particular, the prints on the tape. If there's any that stand out that are large enough. But for right now, it's still building higher lows, actually. Dipped down towards like 208, 210 here, ended up building up towards 214, 215. And for right now, it's trying to coil up for a move going into the open. So I'll definitely add this stock right now. It has good liquidity, cheap, tight spread, and all of that stuff I like. So I'll definitely add that to our list. I think AUUD also had a pretty good book yesterday. If anything, it popped up higher in pre-market here, much like the MRIN. Ended up making a big move early from 640 up towards almost 9, topped off at 887 here. It's dropping off leading into the open, right? So you want to make sure this stock's going to show some signs of life before you look to just jump in. Very similar to the MRIN trade, right? Just over the last 3-4 days, this stock has been on a tear from 3 up towards 887 as of this morning in pre-market. When's it going to dump off? Right? That's always the scare. So we're definitely going to add this to our list. If it ends up dumping off, perhaps we'll catch a bounce. I was looking at a couple of price levels here leading into the market open. If I'm not mistaken, I think 6, and then even I think it's 580. I deleted my lines just so it wasn't all messy going into the morning meeting here. But 6 and 580, I ended up drawing as levels going into the market open, I believe, for a pullback on this trade. Hey, if it ends up holding from a higher place than that, God bless. I'll try and react and jump in from there. 7 could potentially be that spot, but again, for as much as it moved up, I'm definitely thinking it's going to pull back more after the market opens for the AUUD trade. All right, what's this CNSP trade? Ooh, pretty new pop here, more so, right? Ended up popping a little bit after 8:30. Caught me by surprise right now. I didn't see this until now. Ended up dumping back down relatively quick, so I guess that's why. Wasn't really up too much on the gainers list when I was kind of prepping for the meeting, but up now just about 26%, looking pretty nice over 250. I'd probably say there's a resistance, not even at 250, but a lot of volume got filled, perhaps even off of 255, 254. So for right now, I'll add this to our list. I'd just be a little careful around that 250 initially as the market opens up. All right, VERB. Now, this was a stock I had on the pre-market list, or rather, I posted the pre-market list, and like right away after I realized this, and I typed it live inside the trading room to them, and I said, this doesn't look too bad. That was like before 8 a.m., right? So it's popping up nice, and you have your wacky spikes and dark pools perhaps mixed in there. Since it's been pretty flat, I mean, dropping off now a bit, I don't know. I mean, we'll put this on the side list. Very well tradable. Got to show me a lot more coming up here, though. This looks good, at least off 162. A couple of larger prints filled off the ask, signs of buying. So at least by the time we finish up this meeting, if this ends up making a big pop from this price, then hey, I'll definitely add this to our list. But we'll see what else we got. DBGI, another low float stock, I think, right? I want to just take a look here. Oh, yeah. You got a 3.5 million share float stock, DBGI, trading 1.5 million shares right now, pre-market. Now, the past couple of days, this stock's been on its own tear, trading 73 million shares back from Friday last week. So, if the stars align, these low float stocks can make big moves. But, to be very transparent for all of us in social media, that's not always what we're trying to get. We're not like trying to get like the craziest, zaniest, biggest percent mover. Those could be crash and burn stocks. So you really got to know what you're doing on those trades before you start trading a lot of shares, 500, 1,000, 2,000 shares or more, right? The more shares you trade, the more money you can make. But at the same time as you say that, and it's simple to say here, but if you don't know what you're doing and if you get in just at the right place, just at the wrong time, be crash and burn. So DBGI, you can see what happened here, even back from Friday last week, ended up opening up at 428, hit a high of 747, dropped down over 2 points lower before it closed. It closed at 536. So imagine getting it off the top or just at the right place, wrong time on that trade that day. So I always like to just provide some caution on these trades, but yeah, we'll add this to our list given the activity in pre-market. I don't think there's much news on this trade here, the DBGI. Back from what's him? Oh yeah, back from Monday in the morning. It looks like pre-market yesterday, stock ended up posting earnings, so that's the latest news on the DBGI. But that's just about it. All right. Barry here says on YouTube, welcome aboard, Barry. He says DBGI volume is loaded with sellers right now. So, in terms of buying, we're going to talk more about our trading strategy inside our Traders Talk workshop for all of us in Cyber Group later on this morning. But we're not going to throw a dart on the wall and hope it lands, right? And then that's not what you're insinuating, Barry. But I'm just saying that, hey, if we end up seeing a lot of buying coming in shortly after the market opens up, it will keep me interested in the trade. If not, pass and move on. That's it, right? And as we just speak right here, just made an ugly shake, right off 650, 648, 650. You'd assume as resistance there. All right, folks, it's already 9:15. I want to just skim through the rest of the gainers list first. I know there's one stock that's moving up really nicely. I actually jumped over DBGI as we were talking. The ORPH trade. This is going to be on the top of our watch list here. A stock that we are really familiar with. Also a crash and burn type of stock. Also, mind you, ended up making this huge, crazy pop back, 2 weeks ago from 5 all the way up to 77. And then ended up dying all the way back down. So, at least A, we're familiar with this stock. B, look at this move, at least on the intraday chart, right? See the stock pop from 7 all the way up towards 860. I'm looking for support on this trade off of $8 after the market opens up. That's an easy one for me. So if this ends up pulling back down to 8, I'll be really interested in catching the first bounce. But we'll see what happens. Definitely ORPH. All right. Fun. This one's probably lower risk because I think it's a higher float. Definitely great liquidity on the book, but also kind of a teaser stock too. I ended up making this move in pre-market, but pretty flat now. We'll pass on it. SOFI, relatively new. I think it's a special purpose acquisition, if not an IPO. I know that guy Chamath is on there, right? It's one of his. He's got a few that we've been trading between Clove and Space that he was formerly a part of, I think. But yeah, SoFi nonetheless up 5.5% roughly right now. $20 stock. It's on great volume right now, so it's hard for us not to put this on the list. See, now we're building up a nice list right now. We already have about like 8 stocks so far. We've yet to jump over to the loser side yet. Oh man, I don't have enough time to go over Bitcoin. Cam's looking pretty flat right now. We'll talk about Bitcoin in the afternoon. A lot of shorts have been covering over the last 3 to 4 days. That's all I'll say. So Bitcoin's been slowly pushing back up here and there. I'll show the chart later on. Now I got a couple of chats here from AR Trading Room and then also from YouTube. RJF calling out earlier the workhorse pop. Yeah, definitely. So I was going to get to that workhorse here. Just checking Benzinga Pro. No headline out yet on this trade. Don't need a headline either way. And, stocks popping from like 17 support, roughly 17.15, the breakout level here from pre-market. And popped really nicely. So definitely great call. It's not up, more than 5% that I would ask for at the end of this meeting, but easily enough, we'll add this to our list. A stock that we're familiar with, a stock that I actually ended up taking the time personally to line up before the morning meeting. Again, I deleted my lines so they don't look all crazy in front of you here, and I got a bunch on the chart. But for right now, workhorse is definitely based on this pop. We'll put on our list. All right, let's hop over to the loser side, see if there's anything looking just as good, if not better, and I'll be really transparent with you, unless if there's anything that completely sunk off over the last 20 minutes. It's not a whole lot. Just as I say that, right? What's this WDMD stock, right? That's pretty funny. Hey, right, I gave you the conditions unless, and here we are. I didn't see the stock up until now. So I guess this ended up reopening up off a halt. Is that? Yeah, got halted at 8:36, reopened up at 9:15. I wasn't expecting this. FDA response press release. That's all I got here. Down 36%, cheap enough, and hopefully good enough for a dead cat bounce. Hopefully we'll make a nice bounce for us. Otherwise, actually shortable still. So if it ends up really, dumping off later on after the market opens, then it could be just as good of an opportunity as a short then, right? So either way, I guess the news on this was FDA response letter to I don't know, product or drug application, something. But either way, I don't need to go any further into the news just for us to try and trade this stock. So easily enough, we'll add this to the top of our list here. All right. So aside from WDMD, I don't think there's going to be anything else. DMAC. I saw this before. I knew this one at least, but dropped off quite a bit. It's hard to borrow. It's near the lows going into the open. Hey, if it's shortable for you, then I would definitely add it to your personal watch list. Otherwise, I'm going to pass though, just because there's not much opportunity as a short for me, and pretty flat otherwise leading into the open. It's down enough though. Speaking of space, just before, down 3%, very choppy trade here. Not a whole lot really going on. Don't really need to put that on our list. Great side list stock. If you do well on space day to day, or more so week to week, then you put it on your list. I would say that. All right. Oh, check out Norman live inside our trading room. Just going back to the workhorse trade, and I got to finish up pretty quick because I got to finish up my own prep here before the market opens. But Norman just picked up 51 cents a moment ago on the workhorse trade. He got in right off that breakout level, got in from 17.19 as his entry. Ended up taking most of that pop there, ended up getting out presumptively right off of 17.70 as his exit. Really good start, Norman, to the morning. Nice. All right, so folks, I'll toss it to you. Just let me know if there's anything that I didn't really catch or see myself. Up, down, left, right, more than 5%. Yeah, one of our traders pointing out I have a little case of trader's dyslexia here on this MDWD. I think I said WDMD. Now that I'm thinking at it, yeah, I did. MDWD. That's a tongue twister stock, that's for sure. Scroll up on the trading room chat. I see from Patrick. He said MYSZ has news and it's moving. So this ended up popping, right after 9 o'clock. It's up 12.5%, if not more. And it is a stock we are familiar with. Given the recent run here after 9 a.m., I'll put this on our list. That might max it out though at this point. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 stocks. I like to max out at 12. I don't really need to have 12 stocks on a watch list anyway, right? And you can just start with 2, focus on that. If the 2 that you're starting with aren't really moving within the first 3 to 5 minutes after the market opens, then you move on to something else from the list or something that we're looking at live inside the trading room. That's how we kind of work together as a team. All right, so for all of us on social media, if you're interested in joining our Traders Talk workshop later on this morning, feel free just to go right down to the link on the banner below just to get yourself started on a small week-long trial with us. All of the Traders Talk workshops are recorded too, so it's not just this live workshop that you could attend. It's all of the previous ones over the last 2 to 3 years, I think, that we have there too. All right, but otherwise, if you're not joining us in our trading room, I'll catch back with you folks later on this afternoon at 2:30 Eastern time for the afternoon meeting. Fausto will be back in his seat come tomorrow morning. He's on a business trip in Florida. I think he prepped you folks for that at least. So come tomorrow, business as usual. All right, for all of us live inside the trading room, just give me a quick couple moments. I'm going to tweet the picks. I'll be honest with you, this dump off on my size isn't really too appealing unless it could bounce off 150 here. That's a strong support, so you'd hope to see that bounce from 150 soon. But otherwise, for all of us live inside the trading room, I'll look forward to speaking with you folks later on in just a few moments. Take care.